We start the day's other headlines with a notable name change from the nation's commander-in-chief. This afternoon, President Trump ordered that the Defense Department change back to its old title, the Department of War.
I think that's a big one, I'll be honest.
The move is largely symbolic. Only Congress can officially change the department's name, but today's order will authorize the Pentagon and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to use secondary titles, like calling himself the Secretary of War. Both Hegseth and Trump acknowledged the symbolism of today's action.
They went a route that I think was probably politically correct, but not correct for our nation. So I think the Department of War sends a signal.
Within minutes of today's announcement, staff at the Pentagon started taking down signs to have them changed. The department was called the Department of War for 150 years until shortly after World War II, when it was changed to Defense. Also today, President Trump signed an order that would allow the U.S. to punish countries that wrongfully imprison U.S. nationals. It would create a new designation for state sponsors of wrongful detention, similar to the designation of state sponsors of terrorism. More now on the immigration raid in Georgia. Homeland Security officials say they've carried out the largest single-site enforcement operation in DHS history. 475 people were arrested at the manufacturing plant where Hyundai makes electric vehicles, most of them South Korean nationals. At a news conference, officials described a months-long investigation into allegations of, quote, unlawful employment practices.
This operation underscores our commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians and Americans, ensuring a level playing field for businesses that comply with the law, safeguarding the integrity of our economy, and protecting workers from exploitation.
Following the raid, South Korea's government expressed concern and regret over what it called possible violations of its citizens' rights. Hyundai, South Korea's biggest automaker, invested billions in the Savannah facility, which specializes in electric vehicle battery production. Notable Republicans, like Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp, have touted the project as the largest economic development project in the state's history. Russian President Vladimir Putin said today that any foreign troops deployed to Ukraine while the war is ongoing would be considered, quote, legitimate targets. His comments come a day after more than 24 countries said they would provide a reassurance force for Ukraine once a ceasefire is reached. Speaking to reporters alongside the European Council president today, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky said that the force would number, quote, in the thousands. While at an economic forum, Putin called Ukraine's bid to be an EU member a legitimate choice, but drew the line at its joining NATO.
They continue to cling to the prospect of Ukraine joining NATO. This is the thing that is entirely unacceptable to us. Even though every nation has the right to choose how to ensure its own security, such matters cannot be resolved without regard for Russia's security.
Meantime, fierce fighting continues from both sides. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia sent more than 150 drones and 7 missiles toward Ukraine overnight. Russian officials say they destroyed 92 drones sent from Kyiv. In Gaza, health officials say at least 27 people were killed in the latest wave of Israeli attacks on Gaza City. One airstrike brought this 14-story building to the ground. Israel has accused Hamas of using such high-rises for surveillance. It's part of a controversial military buildup in Gaza City, which Israel has declared a combat zone. Israel insists it is targeting Hamas combatants and takes steps to mitigate civilian harm, like evacuation warnings. But many Gazans say they have nowhere to go and instead shelter in tents as the hunger crisis there grows worse. Back here at home, the artificial intelligence company Anthropic has agreed to pay $1.5 billion to settle a class action lawsuit filed by book authors. If approved, it would be the largest in the history of American copyright cases. A trio of authors sued the company last year over the use of their books to train an AI chatbot. In June, a judge ruled that while the training wasn't illegal, Anthropic did download millions of books from pirated sources. Today, the company agreed to pay close to $3,000 for each of about 500,000 books covered in the suit. And author George Saunders has been named this year's winner of the National Book Award for Distinguished Contributions to American Letters. It's a Lifetime Achievement Award given to past luminaries like Toni Morrison and Judy Blume. Saunders is perhaps perhaps best known for his first novel, Lincoln in the Bardo, which won the Man Booker Prize. He's also the author of popular short story collections, including 10th of December and Civil War Land in Bad Decline. Saunders' next book, Vigil, is due out early next year. On Wall Street, stocks ended lower after that downbeat jobs report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 220 points on the day. The Nasdaq slipped just 7 points, so nearly flat. The S&P 500 also ended lower. And a passing of note, Joseph McNeil, a key figure in the civil rights movement, has died. McNeil was one of 4 college students who refused to leave their seats at a segregated North Carolina lunch counter back in 1960. The Greensboro sit-in, as it became known, expanded to more than 50 U.S. cities in 9 states and became a catalyst for student-led action during the civil rights movement. The store itself was desegregated within 6 months. Years later, McNeil reflected on those turbulent times.
It is very, very difficult individually to step up when wrongs occur and to individually put yourself and all you value on the line. Students did that. We risked our education, but that courage, the ability to be brave, and that's always going to be there, even today.
McNeil went on to become a 2-star Major General in the Air Force Reserves and worked as an investment banker. A cause of death is unknown. Joseph McNeil was 83 years old. Still to come on the NewsHour, David Brooks and Jamel Bowie weigh in on the week's political headlines. Author Darren Walker discusses his new book examining inequality and democracy in the U.S. And it's the end of the penny. We'll explain.
This is the PBS News Hour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.